So sometimes I go on the Wayback Machine and I look at old websites. It's mostly just for the nostalgia factor. I miss the hyper creative content, and most of all, I miss the girl internet. I mean, what happened to sparkly curses and pink websites? I want it back. I've been thinking about this a lot recently. I mean, I'm someone that grew up with MySpace, Tumblr, Polyvore, Rookie Magazine, Neopets and Lookbook. And what strikes me now looking back is how much of it was made for girls. It wasn't condescending, it was fun, female focused, and it felt like your own personal space. And maybe I'm getting older, but I do miss it, and I don't think it's nostalgia. I think something has definitely been lost. So when doing research, I found Olia Lialina, who is an internet artist and theorist. She talks about early internet culture and brings terms into the conversation like the vernacular web. She talks about the vernacular web not being silent. It wasn't minimalistic. It was expressive. It had music, pages that existed just to say hello. Instead of doom scrolling on Instagram, you were looking at someone's personal blog with amateur photography, recipes, and links to cat sites. There was this sense that a real person was there, and it wasn't built by a machine of people, which really contrasts with today when people are pretending to be real, but in the background using multiple AI tools so they don't have to think or learn. Lialina argues that this wasn't primitive, it was folk expression, in the same way that vernacular architecture, the kind people build for themselves without architecture, tells you something true about the culture that grand designed buildings don't. The amateur web told you something true about the people who made it. It was messy because people are messy. It was specific because people are specific. And here's the thing that she says that I keep coming back to. The amateur web didn't die. It was hidden. As the internet became more commercially regulated, more developer controlled, more optimized, the vernacular energy got pushed to the margins. It didn't disappear. It just stopped being the main thing you saw. So growing up in mine, I remember this particular sense of liberation. I was stuck in a small town, sometimes lonely, and this was a resource that let me express myself. I had MySpace to kind of expand on my identity. I had Tumblr to let me imagine how my life might look when I'm older, or how maybe I wanted it to look now. And I had Polyvore to kind of express my mood through outfits. And Lialina doesn't quite account for girlhood on the internet. It was messy, experimental, made by girls, and they really mattered. Two researchers, Angela McRobbie and Penny Garber, used qualitative methods, participant observations, and interviews to explore lived experiences of girls. McRobbie comes up with the concept of bedroom culture, the societal and cultural space of girls' bedrooms where they listen to music, read magazines, and engage with fashion and style. And this really stood contrast to boys whose culture played out in public, on street corners and skate parks and record shops. And this hit me so close to home. I grew up near a skate park, and going there just made me feel anxiety. I felt like to belong I had to be cool or pretty in a certain way that boys around you noticed, and simply wanting to skate for the sake of skating felt just so much less acceptable. And I think that's what bedroom culture really touches on. I mean, Garber, writing in 1984, observed that girls' participation in subculture was really constrained by societal expectations of femininity. And McRobbie, writing in 1978, argued that girls' engagement with popular culture, so music, fashion, media, offered a kind of culturally sanctioned resistance, a way to negotiate identity and autonomy while staying within socially acceptable limits. And I deeply felt that. I mean, my bedroom was my safe space. I was reading Vogue, Rookie by Tavi, and watching her odd shop stuff with her friends and write about it online, and that felt so natural to me. I did come across an interview with Tavi recently, and I really like what she said. She talked about Dello Russo, which I'm probably saying wrong, and she was recalling how, as a little girl, her mother warned her, if you wear that, you won't be cool. And she said, I don't want to be cool, I want to be fashion. And that resonated with me. I think growing up on the internet, I wanted to be interesting, I wanted to be creative. And that wasn't to say I was immune to wanting to be pretty, but it just wasn't the whole picture. And what struck me most in that interview was something simpler. She noted that nobody did fashion blogging as a career or did it to get an invite to shows. You did it after school in your bedroom because you loved it. And that feels so impossible to imagine now. I mean, in the age of TikTok and Instagram, where the performance of taste is inseparable from the pursuit of an audience. But she and a lot of people like her did it. And I don't think we had much of a window into girl subculture. McRobbie's observation was really simple and quite devastating in my opinion. Girls weren't visible in subculture or in youth subculture, the streets, the mosh pits, the record shops, not because they had no culture, but because theirs happened to be somewhere else. It was in their bedroom with their friends, making things, talking about things, figuring out who they were in private spaces and on their own. And I think that stayed true for a long time, but the internet kind of opened up people's bedrooms and let other people see it. So the homepage was a bedroom you could publish. Think about what it actually meant to have a GeoCities site, not that I was around for that, or a Neopets guild. In the early 2000s, you decorated it, you chose the color scheme, you wrote about what you cared about, you linked your friends. It was your space in a way nothing on the current internet really is anymore, or nothing I can find on the current internet is anymore. Visiting someone's early Tumblr or MySpace was like being invited into their room and you learnt something about them. And there's a game scholar called Alison who makes the point that because these spaces were so girl-coded, male audiences largely ignored them, which sounds like a problem, but it was actually a gift because these spaces were left to develop their own aesthetics, their own communities, their own norms without having to perform or justify themselves to anyone outside. A developer article I found on Medium by Melissa. She wrote an essay in 2017 about the teenage girls internet of the early 2000s, and she describes the entire subculture of hobby web development that was entirely made by teenage girls. So you've got web bringings, Blinkies, pixel art, hand-coded layouts, and how boys barely registered except to occasionally blog about. And I really felt that. I felt it in my chest because I was definitely that girl. And I remember getting asked why I was studying computer science because I was creative, because I liked fashion. And those things aren't opposites to me. I mean, it's as if I didn't spend hours on my MySpace or twinking CSS, building little corners of the internet for myself and my friends. And I think those count as both, and we forget about that. So sociologist Anita Harris, in her book Future Girl, writes about women in the mid-1990s creating electronic zines, personal websites, and traces how that impulse expanded into online diaries and homepages. So you can think of the early internet as over-edited chaos or bad design, and maybe it was, but it was authored by a real person. It was specific, and that wasn't a flaw. It was proof that this space was made by someone real with real tastes, a real point of view. The current internet is just not that. The current internet is curated and effortless and frictionless in a way that's nothing to do with how messy and specific we are as human beings. And I think we lose something. We lose like a sense of realness when people are only expressing themselves inside a box that's been designed to aggregate us rather than like building spaces for ourselves that are real, that are messy, that aren't maybe always that aesthetic. I mean, bring back comic stands, sparkly curses. At least that version was true. On that note, please like and subscribe.